Robert Space Industries releases a new trailer for Squadron 42. Steam Link has been updated to allow local co-op to multiple devices. And a new game from the devs of Stories Untold called Observation is announced. That, plus a look at the game radar, latest patches, and what I've recently played coming up on your plan for October, not August, October the 14th, 2018. Alright, first up, there is a rumor going around, and I can't specify it enough that this is a rumor, and it's a rumor coming from game journalists, so it's even worse than you might imagine, since they have trouble just getting real facts, just regurgitating press releases correctly. But there's a rumor going around that Microsoft is possibly very close to buying Obsidian Entertainment. The idea is that they're about 90% of the way there, according to Kotaku, who broke this story. Obsidian is best known for like its role-playing games and whatnot. So games that they've worked on, like Neverwinter Nights 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Alpha Protocol, which is a little less known for them, but also kind of an interesting sort of sleeper game, I guess. What else? Fallout New Vegas, probably the one they're mostly known for. Dungeon Siege 3. You can't always have a good. You can't always have a home run there. South Park: The Stick of Truth, Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, the recently released one. Armored Warfare, another one I've never heard of before. Tyranny, which is what's playing over my shoulder as we speak, and Pathfinder Adventures, another game that was actually kind of cool that I played a little bit of. These are things that Obsidian has worked on, and it sounds like Microsoft might be coming in to purchase them outright. No details on exactly what that means. Will Obsidian be an independent studio under the Microsoft Studios umbrella, where they basically get the most benefit from this and become essentially they have deep wallets now, but they're still the same team and everything. It's hard to judge exactly how these things are going to go. It really depends on the principles of Obsidian and what they do. From my experiences with the whole merger thing and all that stuff, is that they tend to come down to whether or not how involved the principles of the company that's being bought want to be going forward. Because a lot of times a larger company will buy a smaller one, and that was like the end game goal for the company, and the principals, like the CEOs and all that stuff, the C-suite people, will just cash out their golden parachutes and be gone. And usually when that happens, the company that's bought usually just folds right into everything else, and kind of it's a company in name only at that point. They're just the IP there, and then everything just kind of becomes, Microsoft or whatever. But if the C-suite people want to stay on, and they want to work as a sort of continue working on the projects that were there and whatnot, I've found, at least in the past, it seems like the larger company would be more willing to let them work on their own, be an independent studio that's, well, semi-independent underneath, the other company, and the other company just benefits from the IP and any revenue generated and all that stuff. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see how this falls out. It sounds like, though, if we look at the recent past of Obsidian, that they Pillars of Eternity was really the thing that they needed in order to save the company, that they were very close to being bankrupt, and that's why they went to Kickstarter for Pillars of Eternity 1, and they knocked it out of the park. They went back to Kickstarter for Pillars of Eternity 2, and that's also apparently done very well for them. So those were kind of the Hail Mary passes that made it for the company. But obviously, if you were that close to the drain, then having one or two hits can help, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it fixed whatever was causing the problems in the first place. the burning of money and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if this is a thing. It could be a very good thing. It could be a really bad thing. It really depends on how the merger flushes out, as far as whether it's an independent operator or semi-independent operator versus this is just now a Microsoft Studio thing. And recently Microsoft has been kind of snatching up a few people. They snatched up Playground Games, which is the ones that do Forza Horizon series. They also, obviously, they snatched up Mojang, which does Minecraft, and they largely, as far as I understand, left Mojang alone and just kind of, they got rid of the principals because the principals cashed out, and then largely left Mojang to just kind of do their own thing and just have deeper pockets. And maybe that same thing will happen with Obsidian. We don't know. We won't know unless ink actually hits paper, which, as far as we know, none of that has happened just yet. But I should, again, emphasize, all rumors. And they're rumors coming from journalists who are not known for their accuracy in the best of times, let alone for their investigativeness of things. So always take a pinch of salt with everything you hear there with that. Squadron 42, RSI, Robert Space Industries, had their CitizenCon this week. They had, I believe, 2 trailers that they released for Squadron 42. I'm leery about displaying the trailers, just because I don't think I would get Content ID dinged on those, but for some of the other things I might. So instead, I recorded some footage here of me playing the Vandal Swarm stuff, which, as far as I know, is like very has not changed in many releases. So and it kind of feels like it, because it's like it hiccups a lot as you're playing it and whatnot. So don't take any of that as clues as to what Squadron 42 is going to look like or whatever. But yeah, I looked over the trailer, and it's got the stuff that you would expect from a Chris Roberts game. It's got the top name talent, Mark Hamill in there. I saw a brief hint of John Rhys Davies and Mark Hamill together, and they've done a very good job with the face models and stuff. So they're fully 3D rendered characters, but they modeled them after the actual actors. Gillian Anderson is in there. Actually, not to knock her too much, but she looks better as a 3D model than she does in real life anymore. I don't know what happened to her after X-Files, but she's not. Time has not been kind. But thankfully, with the advent of CGI, it can all be put back in its proper order. I don't want to go too far into that, because now we're coming into TMZ territory here. But there hasn't been any release dates on it. From what we know, there's going to be a combination of both space and first-person shooter stuff in it. That's the last we heard, like last year. Whether or not that's changed is another story. You are going against the big bad, which are the Vandals. There was a mention of an area called the core, or the corkscrew. I think it was the core, is what he said. And yeah, it's our coil. The coil. That's what it was. I know it was like something like that. Sorry, it's trying to remember the trailer and get all these words correct is another story. So that's interesting. But we still don't have a release date on it. What they did say to Kotaku was that they would be releasing a timeline for the release of Squadron 42 in December, which means we can probably expect that in March. given their history of releasing things, even timelines, on time. we'll say March on that one probably. And then we'll get to see exactly how much is left to go with the game and how much they're going to do with it. I kind of feel like, and this is purely opinion here, I kind of feel like they're marching out Squadron 42 because they wanted to get a bump in their donations, the crowdfunding, I should say, because, you know, it's been kind of, from what I understand, a little bit stagnant, and it seems to have worked. They've gone up in the last couple days with the CitizenCon. They've gone up another $1 million in the crowdfunding. So I feel like that's the carrot on the stick that they're kind of dangling out on us, because they know that most of the people who back them, especially early backers like myself, are really only interested in Squadron 42. We're not really that interested in Star Citizen itself. I mean, it's a nice sandbox technology demo, but really, honestly, I'm more interested in the Squadron 42 stuff. That's what I originally backed for, and I think that's not an uncommon feeling. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. It feels like this was one of those, like, hey, we're still working on it, guys. It's still coming, and you know, and then that was a way to kind of stir up the sharks or the whales, whatever it is, stir up the whales to get some more crowdfunding in there. And it appears to have worked. So there you go on that. That is all I got right now on the Squadron 42 stuff. The next thing, which I don't have any videos on because it's a hardware thing, but the next thing we got is the Steam Link. There was an update recently to allow it to work against multiple devices for a local co-op situation. So whereas before you had to have just, you know, whatever device that the Steam Link was linked to, whatever, you know, TV or whatever, that was what you played on, and you could do co-op there where you're sharing a keyboard or whatever, or you have multiple controllers. Now you can actually have co-op in separate rooms if you want. So one person can be playing on the phone, and another person can be playing on, well, maybe not on the phone, but you can control the Steam Link on your phone, which is another thing they put on there as a touch controller. You can use your phone as a touch controller now, which is kind of cool. But one person can be playing on living room TV, another person can be playing on, you know, a computer monitor maybe, with the Steam Link if they want, or another TV with a Steam Link, whatever the case may be. It seems like it's kind of an edge case, but you know, certainly not going to look a gift horse in the mouth there. And it does require that you have a high quality, like 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi network in order to deal with it. So which makes sense. It's doing double duty then, streaming multiple ways. So sounds pretty good to me. Just a small little update. No, you don't have to, you know, you just, as long as you have the hardware, it's just kind of plugging in, and they just keep on, you know, making new and slight improvements to it that are helping out along the way. So I unfortunately still have my Steam Link in the box because I haven't really found a need to play with it yet, but it's good that there's more options being pushed down. I mean, that's about all I can say on that, is that it sounds like a good thing all around, friends. Sounds like a good thing all around. Next up, we have a game from the devs of Stories Untold has been announced, called Observation, and I'm playing a little bit of the trailer there on the screen. It's going to be a sci-fi thriller where you play the AI called Sam, and you go around trying to help out the remaining survivors of some kind of catastrophe up in orbit, and it seems like it's sticking fairly close to, like, less science fiction, more science, kind of, or at least near science fiction, where it's, you know, you've got NASA still, and you've got spacesuits and all those things. So it's got like those creepy sort of HAL 9000 vibes and stuff, which is kind of interesting. It's also going to be published, it looks like, by Devolver Digital, and they tend to be the ones, they tend to like their, you know, they tend to like some of the horror elements and things like that in their games, and so it'll be interesting to see what this fleshes out to be. I never played, I didn't play Stories Untold. It was a sort of anthology of horror games that they put together, you know, small horror games. I did see some videos of it, and it was okay. I didn't, it wasn't appealing to me because it was really horror and there was not much else to it. This one, even though it is horror here, it kind of appeals to me a little bit because it's got the sci-fi element, and it's also, I believe, one of the producers on it worked on Alien Isolation. So kind of interested to see how this goes, and this kind of thing, as much as it has those horror elements in it, I feel like it's less, it's more the psychological stuff and less of the squicky stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you don't have aliens necessarily coming through and ripping people's hearts out. It's more like you've got some kind of weird craziness going on, almost like a 2001 you know, what was the obelisk thing, you know, kind of weirdness going on. So I'm getting those vibes from it, so that's probably a pretty good thing, especially if you like the horror stuff. So onwards and upwards with that. As always, there are links in the description to all my references, and in this case to the store page. So if you want to go put it on your, I don't know if it's wishlistable yet or not, it might be, but you can go take a look at it if it piques your interests, friends.
What's the matter with this thing? What's all that churning and bubbling? You call that a radar screen?
No, sir. We call it Mr. Coffee. Care for some?
Yes! I always have coffee when I watch radar. You know that.
Of course I do, sir.
Everybody knows that.
Of course we do, sir!
Now that I have my coffee, I'm ready to watch radar. Where is it?
Right here, sir.
Okay, first up on the gaming radar here, Square Enix has announced it's having a new IP, a new game coming out March 5th of 2019 called Left Alive, and I'm showing screenshots of it on the screen here. It's a survival action shooter. Essentially, from what I understand, it's going to be humans fighting mechs. You're basically in a landlocked country that is in the way of two warmongers, and you're basically caught in the middle, and you've got mechs to fight against, mechs to fight with, as far as I understand, and it's got a very much a Metal Gear kind of look and feel to it, from what I've been able to gather. It's probably not by accident that that's the case. The director is, and I'm not gonna say any of these names because I'm not gonna pronounce them correctly, but the director is the one from the Armored Core series. Kojima Productions is also involved in it. You know, so you know that it's got kind of some of those interesting things there. And then a mech designer from Ghost in the Shell and Mobile Suit Gundam and Xenoblade Chronicles as well in there. So it's definitely got that look and feel to it. So, and it seems like it's going to be a brand new IP. So I don't know if it's going to break any new ground per se as far as gameplay or anything is concerned, but it's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of people go crazy over, you know, the Metal Gear games and stuff, and I'm sure there's plenty of Armored Core fans out there who would love another game in that series too. So this seems like it's trying to take the pedigree of all those and maybe just do sort of a different, maybe slightly different narrative take on it. I don't know if it's going to be different mechanically, but the different narrative take anyway. So, hey, why not? Why not go for it? Again, it's a Square Enix is publishing it or developing it or both, and they're saying like March 5th of next year is when we can sort of expect that to come down. Further on in the radar here, friends. Further on in the radar is Crusader Kings 2 is getting a new DLC coming on November the 13th. It is called Holy Fury. Holy Fury. Which is not a Marvel thing. I don't know. I was thinking Nick Fury, Holy Fury. Who knows? Anyway, rambling on here. The Holy Fury DLC will bring Shattered and Random Worlds to the game, Warrior Lodges, Legendary Bloodlines, Charm and Persuasion mechanics, some new ones, Sainthood. You can become canonized if you wish, and some coronations and things. I believe I have a jigger here. Yes, I do. Coronations, feudal kings and emperors have to find a clergy to crown them. You got new crusade events, new succession laws, and a bunch of other things, a bunch of other tweaks and additional pathways. And though I am showing footage of CK2, this is actually the first time I've ever really dug into the game, and there's a reason for that. This is as much as I really would like to get into strategy games, I am into some strategy games. There are some strategy games like this that are just too overwhelming for me. Like, look at all the buttons on this screen. Like, there's buttons on top of things that you don't even know are buttons until you click on them. It's like, there's so much here. And even the tutorial was like, which is what I'm playing on the stream here, is like, hey, I'll be over here if you need me, but you got to click on the right things in order to see more of me. I'm like, the tutorial at one point was like, go select a new ambition, and I'm looking at the ambition screen. I'm like, well, how do I select an ambition? Because there's a lot of buttons here that say a lot of things, but I don't know how I'm supposed to select one. Because there's nothing there. It's like, here's your selection of ambitions, and the tutorial's like, hey, once you do that, I'll come back, but I'm gonna go away for now. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to click. I don't know where to go. That's really, these are the types of games that I think I would really love, but holy crap, are they just incomprehensible to me when I first started them up, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And it's I can see now why there's so many so many people out on YouTube like, here's how you get started in Crusader Kings and Crusader Kings 2, because it's like, it's just buttons upon other things going on there that you can't even comprehend at times. At least for me, it becomes a difficult thing to comprehend. So anyway, to those of you who do love this stuff and do understand it and are much smarter than I am, you've got some more DLC coming out November 13th that digs deeper into the religious aspects of the game that you can go and play around with, and hopefully get even more. I mean, I know these are the types of games that you play for years. Like, you can get thousands and thousands of hours in them because they're so in depth, and that's awesome. I wish I could stick with them long enough to do that, because I feel like this is the type of thing that I could play for thousands of hours if I understood what the hell I was looking at. I have a huge mountain to climb before I can get to that point where I'd be completely in love with it. But there you go with that. Crusader Kings 2 DLC coming up. Next on our list is Kentucky Route Zero is getting episode 5 is under development. We got a little bit of an update from the studio saying that they're still working on episode 5. This has been out for a while. They've been, I mean, episodes, I don't even know how many years this has been out for, but it's been taking them quite some time to get through all the episodes of Kentucky Route Zero here, and it's a little point and clicky thing. They did have a free update earlier this year that was kind of an interlude between Acts 4 and 5 to kind of wet your whistle. It was Un Pueblo de Nada was the name of it. So, you know, that if you were looking for more stuff, that's the thing. I noticed a lot of people commenting that they hadn't even started Act 4 yet because they were waiting for Act 5. They didn't want to get all the way into Act 4 again and then have it be on a cliffhanger or whatever. So it's taken them a while. They're a small crew, 3 people. Apparently still working on it, but you know, rest assured they're continuing to work on the next act, the Act 5 stuff. I think I call it episode 5, but it's really Act 5 they're calling it. So yeah, fingers crossed that they can continue moving forward on that. No idea as to when they'll be done with it. There was no dates given, so we'll have to again keep that ping on the radar if you're waiting for it to see what comes next. All right, and what comes next for us is Cities Skylines is getting a DLC. It's coming out on the 23rd of this month of October. It will be $15, and it adds industries and industry stuff to the game. And that was really all they said. I mean, it was just like, hey, we're adding industrial stuff, and we're giving your tweeter birdie thing a new hat, and that was about it. They didn't really go into any real details with it. My guess is that it's just really fleshing out the industrial zones and making it so that you can do research technologies and stuff, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. It's been ages and ages since I played Cities Skylines. You're seeing the last episode that I did of it many moons ago. I enjoyed my time in it. I know they've had some DLCs. I know they had a nighttime DLC and all that stuff. They've had a lot of things that they've been improving on it. But it just, as much as I love the city builders, I also get kind of frustrated by them because I never seem to be able to plan properly. You know what I mean? It's like I always feel like I'm not planning things out the way I should, or I should be taking more time to plan before I actually plunk down buildings and stuff, because I never seem to quite knock it out of the park. And this goes all the way back to just the original SimCity 2 on the NES. That was the same way, where I just never felt like I was really. I always just kind of played it, and I just went as far as I could, but I never really made anything spectacular or interesting. And I always get ahead of myself. My ambitions outweigh my bank account most of the time when it comes to these games, where I'm just like, I don't want to sit around and wait for the taxes to come in next year. So let's just go get some loans, and let's get this thing moving, and let's not wait for more stuff to come in. And these are patient man games, or patient person games, and I'm generally not patient enough to really soak it up properly. But you know, it's still very enjoyable, and it's very good. Much better than anything in the SimCity universe that has come out since SimCity 2000, really. So you know, if you like city builders, you've never picked up Cities Skylines, definitely do it. You're going to get it for probably I would imagine it's a bit of a bargain now. I think it's had some discounts and whatnot. There are some DLCs now that you can look at too and try to see if you want to do those or not. But yeah, pretty good stuff all around, friends. Pretty good stuff all around. Next up on our list is Kingdom Come Deliverance is getting its first DLC. I believe it's its first DLC, called the Amorous Adventures. And yeah, I believe this is the first one. It's adds some side quests to the game around Sir Hans Capon, as he's trying to he's one of the NPCs in the game. He's trying to win the heart of the butcher's daughter, and you get to try to help him out along the way as you are progressing in the main story and whatnot. Apparently there's about 10 to 15 hours of content in here. That storyline doesn't sound like it would be 10 to 15 hours, but they might be counting that they're also introducing a tournament. So you can enroll yourself in a tournament, get some extra cash and prizes and stuff and armor and things. And maybe that's where they're factoring that into the 10 to 15 hours, because I can't see how one side quest would take 10 to 15 hours, especially when it's like, hey, you gotta win this girl's heart. It's like, well, I mean, how many ends of the earth do we have to go to do that? But you know, who knows? Maybe it does take up a significant amount, but my guess is that some of that is also the tournament mode and stuff. Although they're saying that the tournament mode would give you a combined 20 hours, with the Hans adventure offering between 10 to 15 hours. Okay. I'll take their word on that. I don't know. This must be the most complicated betrothal in the history of the world if it's going to take 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. Then again, Kingdom Come Deliverance is not a quick sitting. A lot of that time could be spent, you know, trying to level your own character up and trying to get your own skills together, because there's a lot in it. Like I played a bunch of it. The only reason I put it down is I had too many things going on at once. But it's something I would like to come back to at some point. But I was having trouble with the controls a bit, and it's like you start out as someone who can't throw a punch, and it takes a while to get to a point where you can like really start to master things, and everything's like very, very difficult. So maybe the 10 to 15 hours is in the fact that you gotta, you know, maybe it's like was that video game thing? He's had to kill all of his girlfriend's exes. I forget it was some kind of, you had a lot of video game references in it and stuff. But yet maybe you have to kill all her exes in order to get her to betroth to this other guy. Who knows? Or maybe it causes a whole war, and you gotta get that, and that's where the 10 to 15 hours comes in. I don't know. In any case, I'm just telling you what's there. It's supposed to come out on the 16th. It will be available. So just this week coming, and 2 days away from when I'm recording this. So keep your eyes on that if you're looking for some more Kingdom Come Deliverance goodness. Then there you go. You've got some coming in shortly, friends.
Radio call for you, Captain. Some guy named Graham and Ham.
Put it on the overhead.
Just a minute, sir. Go ahead, sir.
All right, first up on our updates for this week, Deus Ex Revision got a brand new update. This is the modded version of the original Deus Ex, which unfortunately I still can't do justice to. It refuses to allow me to record it on the same system, and that's why you're seeing it's so dark on your screen here and washed out. It's one of those games where I have to record it on a separate machine because it's got weird stuff that recording software can't pick up. But anyway, it was a complete overhaul mod of the original Deus Ex that was allowed to was given permission to thrive on Steam as long as it was free. And it's it takes the original game and improves all the graphics. It adds some of the mod packs in that people have been using over the years to have better, AI and fix a few flaws in the game. This game also introduced new music that were sort of remixes of the original music, and some different maps. Like it took the maps that were there and kind of expanded them a little bit, changed them around a bit. In also doing that, they've got a bunch of things that they've pushed down in this update to help with some bug fixes. So in training, particularly the combat training, they had to fix some doors and texture problems there. Unaccurate HQ, lowering the strength of the shooting range targets. Battery Park, you can give kids a soy food or a candy bar if you have both in your inventory. Hell's Kitchen, there's duplicate women there. Chapter 3, so a lot of little changes here. Some typos they fixed. They've improved the frame rate in VersaLife chapter, which is good. The frame rate in this mod tends to be all over the place from what I've seen. Brooklyn Naval Yards, interior they fixed some floaty faucets and backwards textures in chapter 15, and so on and so forth. A lot of little miscellaneous things that they've done here. So if you and some spawnings, some enemy spawns that were in the wrong spots and whatnot. So if you've been kind of wondering whether or not you want to replay the original Deus Ex, but you don't really want to necessarily deal with the old textures and whatnot, Deus Ex Revision's pretty good. Like I said, I'm not really doing it justice on this video because it resists being recorded on the same machine. So I did not record it on my other machine connected to this. So I assume if I do that, it'll probably come out a lot better. But yeah, it's nice, and the mods are good, and it's nostalgia. If you've played the original game before, or if you've never played Deus Ex, the first Deus Ex game, it'll be an interesting experience for you if you've never played it before, because it's a product of its time in many ways. But it does kind of hang around a lot. It does kind of hang around beyond its maybe its welcome at times. But what the modders have done here has been really good, and they've lovingly changed it to be while still maintaining the original character of the game. You can still play the game with the original music, and honestly, the revised music is okay, but it's not as iconic as the original music. And if you play them side by side, the tracks side by side, you'll probably agree with that assessment that the revised tracks are okay, but they're not as powerful as the original tracks, in my opinion, anyway. More reason to come back to Deus Ex Revision, or at least to come back to Deus Ex if you've never played the full series. I believe you can get the original. The mod does require that you own the original game, and it's all on Steam, so Steam will link you to the original game and stuff like that. So the original game is only, it's like $5, if even that. Usually, it's usually not that much money, and the mod is free. It's a free Steam thing, so you might as well go take a look at it. You can also play the game without it, and if you'd rather have a vanilla experience. But like I said, they've done a fairly decent job with it, and they sort of they made it a little more update, a little more of an update for the graphics that were there, especially with the characters' faces and whatnot. They've done quite a bit. The original game had a lot of polygons. You could see the edges of, faces were just basically polygon messes. And now they're all kind of smoothed out and look slightly more natural than they did. So, anywho, Deus Ex Revision, friends, new update on that. It was update version, was it 1401? If is the one I'm talking about there. Next on our list is a Warframe has pushed out its Chimera update. It is live as we speak. I was playing with it a little bit earlier to record some of this footage. I'm still kind of bad at the game. Actually, kind of really bad at the game. I get lost a lot in these maps. Like, I tend to piss other players off because they're like waiting for me at the end, and I'm like, I don't know how to get to the end. I don't know how you got to where you are, but I cannot find it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to get to the end of this level. I'm just running around in the circles here. So that tends to be my experience with it, but it's still, I like the game, but it's still, I still feel like I am out in the weeds as far as it, like, it's just, there's so much that goes on in the game. There's so many different little things that you pick up and all that stuff that I feel overwhelmed a lot with it. I mean, the individual modes aren't that bad. This is an extraction mode here where you're extracting artifacts and stuff, but then, like, when you go back to your ship and you can equip things and whatnot and upgrades and all that stuff, there's just a lot there. And it's just a product of having been, in players' hands for so many years that they just keep updating things. And honestly, the devs have never taken a break as far as I can tell, because they're constantly updating Warframe. And, rightfully so. It's a very popular game, and it's always getting these nice updates, these free updates. The Chimera update brings with it some arbitrations, which are the Arbiters of Hexes have new challenges for you. After completing the star chart, you'll unlock a new mission type called Arbitration. Survive against level 60 plus enemies, earn new rewards and bigger payouts than the normal alerts. You also get a Vitus Essence, resource used to build new cosmetic items. There's daily tribute rewards, so the daily login system gives you more choice and more appropriate reward scaling. Major milestone days, you get milestones now on major milestone days. Every 50 days you're now given up to 3 choices, so you can get a primed mod milestone, and there's different categories now. Sigils and resources are days 50, 150, and 250 onward. Primed mods 200, 400, 600. Weapons days 100, 300, and 500, all the way up to 1,000. And then that's about that. There's Evergreen, starting at day 1050. You'll receive Evergreen milestones with 3 rewards to choose from. There's dojo updates, reinforcements, and you could do new weapons. A lot of stuff here. There's a whole lot. I'm just kind of skimming through the list here. Syndicate Captura scenes, unlock new tiles for next fashion frame photo shoots. Again, there's so much going on in this game that I can't even keep track of it. Like, there's photo shoots and there's all kinds of stuff, but it's got such a big community and such an active community that they've managed to keep them very energized and very what's the word I'm looking for? Very content, I guess, with everything going on, and once you've played it for several hundred hours, all this stuff makes sense. I'm still at that point where I like the gameplay and I like how it does things. I'm still like in the weeds, still trying to figure out what is this resource for? What does that do? How does this work? What are these cards for? So it's I feel like I may need to do another live stream at some point and have others jump in and just kind of give me pointers in the comments as to how things are working and what to do. But otherwise, I always enjoy every time I jump into it. I always jump into it like for 20 minutes or so, but every time I do, I enjoy my time in it. So it's certainly not hurting anything by having even more content and constantly. I mean, I feel like there's new content all the time here, so it's certainly not going to waste. I'll say that much for you. The devs have not rested on their laurels as far as the game is concerned. So there you go with that. That is Warframe. And next on our list is where's my thing at? Next on our list is the Elder Scrolls Online is doing their Witches Festival, because you know it is October and we got Halloween and all those things coming up. And during this festival, you can become a monster and earn bonus XP. It kicks off on the 18th of October and runs through to November 1st. You get 100% XP buff. You can become an undead monster. You can get a Dremora plunder skills, acquire goodies, ghoulish goodies, they say. So you can take on a whole bunch of boss monsters. Will drop plunder skulls, containers. You have event tickets that drop for, I'm not sure what when you defeat a boss, 10 tickets. Take them to the Impresario, located in Daggerfall, Davin's Watch, and Oakhill Guard to purchase your first Indrik Feather. Once you've acquired Indrik Feather, you can keep earning event tickets to head start to the next one. I'm not sure what the Indrik Feather does. I assume it's a crafting thing. I've barely scratched the surface of Elder Scrolls Online. I need to get back into it again, along with a lot of things. And there's some items at the Crown store, and you can get a new cottage that is fit for a coven. They say it's going to be like a witches themed, Halloween themed coven or cottage, I should say. And yeah, all that stuff. You can, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, you can turn into a monster and do things, and then you fight a bunch of monsters. Yeah, and the homes that you can pick up are only available during this event. So you gotta go pick up those homes now. I mean, obviously, once you get them, they'll be permanently unlocked for you. But after that, nobody can get them. So that's that, friends. More reasons to jump back into Elder Scrolls Online as well for some more rewards and some unique and interesting housing choices, perhaps. Next on our list is Strange Brigade. Strange Brigade is getting a free update. It is getting some. It's kind of a mostly bug fixes and whatnot, but it's also got a new horde map called Tunnels, and 2 new score attack maps called the Towering Temple 2 and Cursed Village 2, some improved subtitle options, and just some bug fixes and stability improvements. And yeah, that's about it. It's just a nice small little patch. It sounds like I believe they're running. The next one's going to be like a DLC or something that you're going to pay for, I believe. I think this was like their free patch, and then they're going to be working on a DLC one, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. I started playing Strange Brigade, and I like it. It's a nice co-op game. Playing it single player is not really. It's fun, but it's not. It's not as fun as if you had multiple players dealing with it. Just by way of there's puzzles and stuff that really make use of having multiple players. One person telling you the codes to the puzzle, and the others while actually piping in the puzzle pieces into the right places. The words are not are not coming out of my lips correctly anymore.
He just kept talking in one long, incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic so that no one had a chance to interrupt. It was really quite hypnotic.
Alright, first up, for things I've been playing this week, Final Theory we started out the week with, and it's an interesting strategy game it's very limited in the pathways you can take, very limited in the moves and stuff you can make. I was calling it sort of baby's first strategy game because it doesn't overwhelm you with options, which is actually very nice for me. I really enjoy it a lot because as I was mentioning earlier with the Crusader Kings stuff, I get bogged down really easily with if a game just throws all kinds of buttons and knobs and switches at me and then doesn't really ease me into it. And this game is nice in that it just kind of, it does have some buttons, knobs, and switches, but everything sort of just makes sense, and it kind of limits your options and just sort of makes you go through it, and you can kind of figure it out after you've done a little bit. You know, it doesn't really have a great tutorial, but it does have like a decent, you know, once you play the first time for a couple, you know, minutes or so, you start to understand how things are going, and after you've done your first playthrough, you can kind of see how it's fleshing out. It is a very long game though. I played it for about an hour, and I was only at the turn 20, and I was making some good progress. So I do want to return to it, and probably return to it on a stream. I'm thinking that my next stream I'll probably do this and see if I can actually make it through the rest of the game, because I'd like to see if I succeed or not at the map. And it's just like there's no story or anything like that. It's not like a campaign that you go through. It's just mostly just a skirmish, one big skirmish, and you just go and do what you gotta do to make it. The end goal is to get the data to make the final theory project, which basically destroys all the stars in the system and makes them available for resource gathering or something like that. So once you've got that, you win. Your faction wins. So it's just a matter of getting to that point, and you get to that point by taking over nodes. You get to that point by combat and other things. Everything gives you research points and whatnot to move towards that. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, it's not flashy or particularly well explained when you first jump into it, but it is very, very nice once you understand what's going on. And assuming you don't care for, you know, really complicated strategy games, if you're just looking for something that's kind of nice and just a nice little break from all the, you know, 9,000 variables that you have to take into account, then this is good. This is your variables are limited, but there's still a bit of a challenge there, which is kind of nice, very nice, I would say, in my humble opinion. Next up on our list is Spaceborne. This one caught me by surprise because, you know, after a while of doing the whole, you know, first impression stuff, you kind of go on Steam and you see you see the trailers and stuff for a game, and you kind of right off your bat go, this looks like something that is like a, you know, a low effort sort of asset flippy thing. And that's kind of the impression I got at first when just looking at the trailer for this. I was like, yeah, you know, let's not judge a book by its cover. Let's try it. I mean, normally a red flag is if they had like 300 achievements, then I'd be like, yeah, oh yeah, this is definitely a problem. But in this case, it didn't, and I thought, well, no, there's something different here. So let's buy it and see what's going on. And I'm glad I did, because even though there is a level of, what would you call it? Not noobishness, but a level of this is independently made. There's a level of polish that's not there. Let's say, and it's early access. It is kind of interesting, and I think my only real problem with it was, it'd be nice if it had a little bit better mouse scheme. Like you fly with the mouse, which is great, but I kind of wish it, you know, it's like a one-to-one mouse movement right now, and I kind of wish there was a little bit more of a rubber banding thing where it would move a lot faster, so I didn't have to move my hand so much. But I mean, that's kind of like, it's early access. It's kind of a minor thing right now. Otherwise, it works really well. It's the first game that I've ever played where when you start up the game, it asks you, what kind of music do you like? It literally asks the question, what kind of music do you like? And it's got a couple of genres there. And depending on what genre you pick is the kind of music you get when you're in combat. And yes, they have a rock option. And yes, it is quite good. They also have a random option, which is what I used for my video here. And that's also pretty good. I mean, you get a lot of random stuff in there. There is even a classical one. So if you want to destroy things to, I guess, Bach or something that sounds a little bit like Bach, then by all means, be as highfalutin and sophisticated as you must be, as the space dust rolls along along the space lane. But you also get out of your ship. You go there's first person mechanics, so you get out of your ship on the stations. You walk around, you talk to NPCs, and then you get in your ship and you go and do some fighting and dodging, or at least try to dodge. This does suffer from a thing that I see a lot in recent games, which is you can't tell if you're getting hit or not. It's very hard to tell. And when you are getting hit from something, like when something's on screen that's shooting at you, you can see the tracer fire to a certain extent, but you can't tell if it's actually hitting you or not unless you're looking at the bar, your shield bar. But then it's particularly bad when someone's off screen, because it doesn't really give you an idea of what direction you're getting hit from. So that's the other sort of problem that I've had so far with it, is that it's very hard sometimes. Sometimes you lose situational awareness and you don't know where you're getting hit from, so you know where to dodge. But you do get abilities. Your pilot has abilities. I realizing now, looking at my video, I didn't actually use any of the abilities like I was supposed to, like the repair ability and all that stuff. Just because, even though that screen came up telling me, hey, these are mapped to your number keys, I completely ignored it. And I still had a blast. It was a lot of fun. They've had a few updates since my video went out, and I'm hoping for good stuff here. This is good. This is the good kind of thing. It is very indie. It is, there's that indie sort of, unpolishedness to it. The character faces are very, very mannequin, plasticky mannequin looking, but and some of the dialogue is not what I would call, Shakespeare. Probably not even Shakespeare's long lost brother either. But it is working out pretty good, and I'm waiting to see what they do with it. Hoping that they do some good things here and keep up with it, and we don't have it be abandoned like so many other sci-fi games that I've been seeing recently. So that is Spaceborne, friends. And next up on our list is Cosmic Ray. 2D top-down with a time limit, where you are trying to resettle millions of people from Earth before some kind of tragedy befalls Earth, and you got a limited time. You got like a limited timer to do it in, and you need to go and find some suitable planets. You've got enemies that fight you, and try to terraform these planets and then drop colonists off on them. Or you could find some planets that are already habitable, and you can just drop them off there. And upgrade parts. It's got kind of a rogue-like feel to it, where you can get some upgrades. You're meant to die a couple times through, but you're meant to get upgrade parts along the way that help you, survive longer through the next run and all that stuff. It was really nice. Really nice little. I think it was like $3 or something on Steam. It's a really nice cheapo game that you could spend 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there on, and just kind of enjoy. It's not asking for a huge time investment or even a money investment. So it's nice to have one of those every so often come along and just be delightful. That's all. Sometimes you just need a game and just be delightful, and this is one that I would consider to use that moniker on. Next up is Origin Space. Oh, so ambitious and yet so incomplete. I played this game. This was a revisit of it. I had played it, I think, back in early this year, maybe December of last year. I don't remember exactly when. And it's good. It's an ARPG where you are a space fighter, and it's got all the ARPG mechanics. It's got lots of loot. It's got the upgrade panels. It's got a mothership you fly back to sell things off on. It's got quests galore in it. It's really nice. And I was it was early access, and back when I played the first time, it was early access, and I was like, oh, this is really good. This has got a good pedigree. I know exactly where they're going with it, and it'll be fantastic. It just needs it just needs some more TLC. Well, unfortunately, fast forward to this week and this past week, and they released it out of early access, and it's not very much different from when I played it. In fact, the version number is only gone up to 0.35. I believe it was like 0.32 or something when I played it. So there were a few changes, a few bug fixes, namely where your ship doesn't. You can actually stop your ship dead now when you're at the store, when you're on the store menu and things like that, because that was a problem. And a few other small bug fixes, but nothing else has really changed about it. There's no new storyline that I could see. It's very, very incomplete, and it's a real shame. It almost feels like more of a kick in the gut that they actually released it out of early access than if they had just kept it in early access and put a note up and said, look, we're abandoning this. Like, if they just said, we're abandoning this, we can't continue on this, we're just going to leave it up in early access, I could kind of forgive it a little bit. Although, honestly, if you're going to abandon something, you should probably set it to free and not keep getting money off of it. Honestly, it should be, you should just remove the price tag from it altogether and just say, look, we're just releasing this for free, and it's never going to be complete. Then that would be the most stand-upish, the best outcome. But even in the absence of that, even if you're just going to do, you're going to keep it up for a price tag, don't release it out of early access if you're abandoning it. Because when you do that, you're bringing new people in who think, oh, okay, because it shows up on all the sites now, like, oh, this is newly released and all that stuff, and all the tracking sites, and now people are going to come into it thinking, oh, this is a released game, and then realize, nope, it's not. It's anything but released. And it's just a kick in the teeth, and then to do it without any kind of explanation or anything like that is it's horrible. It's really, especially when it's a game like this that's actually legitimately fun. Like, what's there is actually fun. I would not, like, if you're gonna pick it up, know that it's complete. That it's not complete. Know that there's no balance. It's very easy right now, and in fact, you level up very, very, very quickly as the time goes on. It, like, the first 3 or 4 levels, maybe 5 levels are pretty stretched out, and then after that, it's like, before you know it, you're at level 25. It just starts spiraling out of control. Because mostly, and I think that's mostly because they were trying to test the leveling up mechanics, and so they just left that in there. But yeah, it's not balanced at all. I would, if you do want to pick it up, just find it on some deal somewhere, some deal site. Wait till it's in a bundle or something like that. I wouldn't pay the full asking price for it, knowing that it's not going to be complete. But yeah, it's a real shame, man. It's a real shame. It's one of these things that it could have been a contender. It could have been really great, and instead it's just really not. And it's sad to see, because I love space games. I love RPGs. I love ARPGs, and to mix those two things together is just a match made in heaven for me. But this is not it. Not it at all. And the last thing on our list for the things that I've played this week, finished up Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. It is finished, friends. I did almost 100%. I did not do a full 100% completion. I don't have all the trophies. I have 92% of the trophies. To do full completion would require me to do all the to do 3 get the top marks in all the challenges. You're seeing one challenge here that I'm doing on stream right now with the drones. I'd have to get 3 stars on every challenge in order to unlock the rest of the suits and the moves and stuff. Everything seems to be locked behind, you know, like the rest of the suits and the rest of the suit powers and all those things seem to be locked behind those challenge tokens. And I just have no desire to do those challenges. It's unfortunate because, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn, I loved the challenges so much that I went back and just did them and did a full 100% run on that. And I could have done the same thing here if the challenges were not as balls as they are. You know what I mean? Like, if they were all the combat challenges in this game are really good, the stealth challenges are really good, I would play them over and over again. But the drone one that you just saw on your screen, the bomb one and stuff like that, they're not good, and I just don't want to deal with them. So unfortunately, we're not going to get 100% on that. But I did do 100% on all the districts. I did all the stuff that I needed to do in the districts, and we got to level, I think ultimately 53. It's maxed out at level 50. But it actually, which is an interesting thing for a game, the game actually allows you to continue leveling after the max level. It doesn't track what level number you are, but what it does is it just gives you a large amount of XP you need to get, larger than you would have for any other levels. But it basically just gives you 1% more melee damage and 1% more defense and stuff like that every time you level up past 50, which is really cool, because most games, you know, you hit the max level and that's it, your max level. This game is like, well, we know there's a lot to do, so there's a lot of ways for you to get XP by just doing anything. So rather than punish you for doing all the XP things, we're going to instead keep on leveling you up. You're just not going to get anything spectacular from it. You're just going to get an extra 1% here or 1% there. So that's cool. I really like that part of it. I'm glad that they did that. I don't really see any RPGs that do that, and it's really nice when one does. So and I enjoyed it. The story was really good. The last act did get a little bit stale as far as the combat went. You know, they basically harped on the whole team up thing a lot, where you were constantly teaming up, or enemies were constantly teaming up against you, and so it was more like almost like a boss rush kind of thing, but with team ups, and they weren't really interesting battles. The hardest part of those battles was trying to keep the camera trained on the enemies. Basically, you would just get into a mode where you're just swinging around them in a circle, and you're just trying to keep them in sight so you can land your blows on them, and that was about it. It wasn't the best at all. Now the final battle, and I'm not going to spoil it, but the final battle was really good, but it was still more of the same, where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, you just have to swing around in a circle and just wait for your opening and that kind of thing. And you know, it was getting kind of old after a while, but it was still a lot of fun. The story was just great. I love the integration of of secondary characters, where secondary characters weren't just NPC fodder. They were you could actually control them, and they were actually useful. They were useful to the story. The story was not afraid to go give you some crazy missions. I mean, there was a mission in Act 3 where you go on a spider trip, and with all the psychedelicness of a spider trip that you would imagine you would get, you get, and it was interesting. It was fresh. It made the challenge be something different than it had been up to that point for a while. So it was very, very nice in that regard, and I really enjoyed it. And I believe, I believe there's going to be some DLC for the game, so I will come back to the game once that DLC is released. I believe they're going to have some DLC. That was the rumor anyway. I don't know anything else about it, or who's going to be in it, or what it's going to be, or anything, or if it's even a real thing or just a bad rumor. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that if that comes out, so expect me to play that. But otherwise, yeah, I enjoyed my time in it quite a bit. So if you're on the fence about the PS4 Spider-Man game, don't be. It's actually really good, especially if you like Arkham-style brawler games. It's really good. Even if you don't really like the Arkham-style brawler games, this is still really good. Even from a story perspective, it's very... there's not any new ground being broken story perspective-wise, but the way they integrated the story with the mechanics of the game is fantastic. You know, it flows really well with the mechanics of the game. So that's, you know, the story complements the mechanics that you're seeing on your screen. It doesn't sort of exist in a vacuum from them. So all good things, friends, all good things. I got a lot more to do this week as far as recordings are concerned. We're doing some live streams. Like I mentioned earlier, I think my next live stream on Tuesday will be of Final Theory. I'd like to finish that game that I was playing. I don't know if I will or not. It actually took a while just to get to. It took an hour just to do 20 turns, but I got a long way to go on it. But I want to play some of that and see how it goes. At least one stream of it. There's a couple other games that I want to get on to stream as well. I may also revisit Torchlight 2 because I still want to finish Torchlight 2. I've never finished a game, so I like to do that. I played that on stream a couple times before, and I definitely want to get that into my repartee, as it were. As far as the YouTube is concerned, I still have to, we'll have some first impression videos. Hopefully I have enough time to record one after this so we can get one up for Monday. But I won't have any time to do anything beyond that. But I do have a few lined up that I've been playing yesterday to just get wrap my brain around. So we have a couple in the shoot for that. As far as the Let's Plays on the YouTubes, probably nothing this week. I'm still just... I am super busy. Just with life. That's the best I can say. At work, I have deadlines, and I have life things, family things that are working on my brain, and all kinds of other stuff. So it's not been the past 2 months have been weird, to say the least. Not in a good way. So I'm doing what I can with that. There's been a very positive response. I've been noticing far more views on my videos. Far less people dropping off as far as subscribers go. So maybe the old adage of less is more is still alive and well in this YouTube era. And also, you know, I think people seem to appreciate the first impression videos more than they do maybe the Let's Plays. That seems to have been the pattern that I've seen for a while. So putting it into action seems to have been the right call, per se. There are some smaller videos I would like to do. I had mentioned a while ago about doing something with Deus Ex Human Revolution and stuff like that. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I had something recorded, and it wasn't really working out the way that I wanted it to, but I have another idea. It's an idea that I got from Spider-Man here. But it's going to take me a while to get to that because I need to get to the point in Marvel Spider-Man. I play through the game again to get to the point where I can record the mission that I'm thinking about. But it's we'll see if there's more things. Obviously, I still want to play through the Wing Commander series. I still need to sit down and record some more. I don't have any more to record yet, but I don't have any time to do that. So we'll see how this all goes. But in any event, let's see if we can make all these videos. I seem to be leaning towards the hour and 17-18 minute videos here every week, and that's not by design. It just happens to be that way. It's just my ramblings. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, everybody, or listening on the SoundCloud. And as always, I will hopefully see you next week.